With All Monsters Attack, Toho managed to figure out a way to keep the Godzilla franchise going with smaller budgets and an explicit focus on appealing to kids. Producer Tomoyuki Tanaka, still determined to keep the series going, decided it was time to inject some new blood into the series, and found a fresh new talent by the name of Yoshimitsu Banno to do just that. And so with near full creative control, Banno went on to direct Godzilla vs. Hedorah, a film that still remains the most bizarre entry of the series. After Dr. Yano and his son Ken are attacked by an aggressive tadpole-like creature, they determine that it is an alien life form that feeds on man-made pollution. Named Hedorah, it begins to grow and mutate, terrorizing Japan with its toxic sludge. Hedorah proves to be a difficult foe, and so it is up to the combined might of Godzilla and the ingenuity of man to figure out a way to stop him before the entire planet is reduced to waste. It must be stated once more that Godzilla vs. Hedorah is without a doubt the trippiest, most surreal film in the Godzilla series, featuring psychedelic visuals, randomly placed animated vignettes, and a funkadelic soundtrack. It feels straight out of the 70s, and depending on who you ask, that's either a good or a bad thing. The film is as close to an avant-garde Godzilla movie as you can get, with tone and experimentation taking clear priority over plot, which is incredibly simple even by Godzilla standards. This is a straightforward versus movie with only the most basic framework of a plot holding it together, but under the unorthodox direction of Banno, it becomes anything but your standard Godzilla fare. The most interesting aspect of this film is Hedorah himself. Conceptually, he makes for one of Godzilla's most fascinating foes, a constantly evolving but not so subtle metaphor for the pollution plaguing Japan at the time. His design is wonderful, and the special effects work that went into bringing him to life is top-notch. He displays a multitude of deadly abilities that manage to give Godzilla a harder time than he is used to, and the two scrap it out almost throughout the entire film. You'd think this extra emphasis on monster action would make Godzilla vs. Hedorah non-stop fun, but the fights here are quite underwhelming, slow-paced and lacking in many exciting or suspenseful moments. There are long stretches where Godzilla and Hedorah just stand around and stare at each other for what feels like forever. These moments severely detract from the impact these fights should have, making the action in this film very dull. The characters are all cardboard cutouts, existing merely as human vessels to move the plot forward. The two who matter the most are Dr. Yano, played by Akira Yamauchi, and his son Ken by Hiroyuki Kawase. These two appear to be the only people smart enough to figure out what Hedorah is and how to stop him, and Ken in particular does make for a solid protagonist for kids to latch onto. He's always rooting for Godzilla and shows a keen sense of forward thinking, which, while not exactly realistic, does make him likable. For the first time, Godzilla fully steps into the hero role as protector of the Earth that children can look up to. And yet despite this, Godzilla vs. Hedorah is one of the more disturbing films in the series, featuring moments of death and destruction that are graphic in a way the series hadn't been since the original, if not more. Scenes of people being drowned in sludge, choking on sulfuric acid, and flesh being dissolved to the bone are plentiful. This stark contrast between the childlike nature of the story and the gruesome reality of its victims is part of what makes this film so intriguing, despite its issues. Indeed, even with so much interesting stuff going on, Godzilla vs. Hedorah never quite excels. It is all style and no substance. Characters have no purpose other than to act as POVs through which to view the action, and as such often act illogical, purposely putting themselves in harm's way. So disposable are the characters that the last 20 minutes forgets about them as it focuses exclusively on the final fight between Godzilla and Hedorah, which, while often too slow, does contain some good moments. The most infamous being when Godzilla uses his atomic breath to fly. It's hands down one of the most creatively insane moments in Godzilla's history. Godzilla vs. Hedorah is a fascinating movie that can never escape the trappings of its genre. It has some really clever ideas and directorial choices, and conceptually Hedorah is a great monster, but its incredibly simple plot makes it feel like an episode of TV stretched out to a feature-length film, and so large stretches of it are very tedious. It's easy to see though why one could appreciate it for both being so stylistically different from all other Godzilla films and for having a message that spoke to an important issue at the time. While far from great, it is also far from the worst Godzilla movie ever made, and should be seen at least once by every fan so they can make up their own mind about the weirdest Godzilla movie For more reviews and opinions on all things Godzilla, subscribe and stay tuned to Up From the Depths.